Hi, my name is Maru, and I'm the founder of Awakening Games, and you're listening to Awakening Games Dialogues. Hi there. Today we're going to talk about how using the word manifestation when we have a grip on what it is that we want is cruelty to ourselves. Because in this moment, we believe and think that what we really want is what we are gripping on. And in reality, once we actually go through another process, we understand after the fact of going through the process that it was never about the actual thing that we were asking for. It was something a lot deeper that was trying to guide us into becoming what we were really wanting. And from there, once we have become who it is we want, this version of us can now project as we are now. The version of ourselves who can project the reality we have been asking. So, what is the process exactly? So let's say we are asking for a relationship, health, abundance. And all these are, of course, things we all want. Meaningful relationships, being abundant and doing what we love to do, following our heart, and having a beautiful and healthy physique body, inner and outer body, right? These are the outcomes of information that we have allowed to give us access in our inner world. Which means if we have the opposite, for example, no relationship or a very dysfunctional or an unfulfilling one, very little money or not at all, or ill health, or, something not working well with our body. Maybe we are sluggish, tired, overweight. So, and list goes on, of course. So in this case, because information is not about only being positive with a positive outcome, information is also negative. And so in the becoming, one must master the negative and positive, or else it's always going to be a matter of chase and hide and go seek. Chasing the positive and hiding from anything negative, thought, emotion, feeling, outcome. And this is just a rat race. Like we're like a hamster in a hamster wheel. And we might have some moments of, surrender, just glimpses, and then manifest something. Like I would call it, tune in to the projection, right? And in that moment, we might grip on the actual manifestation process because it can become addictive. And what life shows us is that things function when they do, and they don't when they should. And I don't mean to just abandon, and let everything to the universe or God or everyone else for that matter. No, it is a constant reaching of balance. So, what is the process of becoming? That's the question. So, let's understand how it is reversed. So, why our manifestations are the opposite of what we want. And this is only happening for a very, very good reason. This is another gift in disguise if we are willing to go through the process that I will explain shortly. So let's take an example. So let's say that we do not have a relationship we want and we don't have the money we want. Okay? So, what does that mean? What is the information that comes up when I feel and think that I don't have what it is I want? You see, in order to become what we want, the version of ourselves that we want, that has and does and is what it is we want, basically that version of ourselves is not one that's fully positive or not negative or only negative and not positive. It is a version of ourselves that has grown through the absence of the positive things we want, has surrendered, has learned the art of surrendering, and from the presence of negative has learned the art of transmutation. And this is the process. So before the negative, we want to own the feeling, emotion, thoughts that come up and embrace ourselves. And this is how we access our inner world. And by accessing and going deep in our inner world, this is transmutation. This is healing. It could also be called a quantum leap inwards, because when we could quantum leap inwards in our inner world, this is how we could also quantum leap in our outer world. So after the transmutation of the embracing, the calling in of the negative, we then have the outcome. We are now the outcome. We don't need to let go. We have become it. So from here, we learn the art of letting go and surrendering. Why? Because we have mastered more and more the art of transmutation by calling in the negative. So these two now, the art of calling in the negative and the outcome of that process being the letting go of the positive, reverses the game. So the game we usually play is being repulsed by the negative and hiding and avoiding, escaping the negative and chasing the positive. And this is exactly what creates suffering. This is exactly what creates the resistance and the grip, the attachment. And once we learn the art of doing the opposite, calling in the negative and allowing to get to know it, meet us there by being present in that moment, allowing to feel, think on the emotional level, to feel on the physical level, to feel while also being present. So there's the observer energy and transmutation and the sinking in. Yeah, I know this is very scary for the ego to sink in the negative, but there's this beautiful process that is this. When we allow to follow the negative as our guide, the moment when we have just met it all, there's this magic thing that happens that just reverses on its own. It shifts on its own. And it actually shifts us in the direction we were aiming at before we were allowing ourselves to access the negative. So for example, if we are looking to feel better, the moment we go into the non-feeling good, the feeling bad, and we embrace ourselves, embrace that emotion, those thoughts, those feelings, more and more and more and more. When that process is done, we do not know when it's done, but when it's done, and our inner child, our emotional world feels embraced in trust, we then become that integrated emotion, because we have let go of the attachment, the gripping, which creates suffering. We have actually called in the negative from resisting to it and doing the opposite, running away from it or fighting it. We've called it in. And so In the moment of suffering, we're chasing the positive, it's escaping. The negative is chasing us, we are escaping it. And this is the hamster wheel. Do you see how it goes? What we do to the negative, its opposite, positive, reflects back to us because they function just like mirrors. So, let's go a bit deeper and see what really creates suffering. It's not the negative or the presence of it that creates suffering, or the absence of the positive that creates suffering, but it's something a bit more sinister. It's the resistance to the negative that creates pain. It's the gripping of the positive, of the absence of positive that creates pain. And it's a lot harder to let go than to transmute. Not always. However, if it's easy for someone to let go, there is this possibility, not always, but there is one, that the letting go comes from the ego disconnection, the cutting off, the protective mechanism of not wanting to feel. And from here, we cannot reach healing, transmutation, or quantum leaping inward. So, this is the reason why I suggest that calling in the emotion, the negative emotion, by wanting to meet it, not to meet it in order to get somewhere else. Because if we do it that way, we will never merge in union with our negative, with love and respect. It will be kind of like wanting to get into somebody's, reality or be friends with them because somebody would want to meet their brother, sister, friends, not meeting them for them. That would not build trust. So the negative, our subconscious, our inner world, our shadow world, our wounded inner child, it needs to feel trust in order to open up. And it's okay that we do not feel trust either in wanting to go and meet that part of ourselves. So when we call in the negative, the more we embrace it and welcome it, the softer and kinder the negative becomes. It doesn't continue to be violent. Do you understand what I mean? It becomes softer and softer when we are not looking for softer and softer. We're just entering, accessing that part of us that is so frightened, as we are frightened of that part of ourselves, the unknown. And we just enter and want to meet us even there. That's all. There is no hidden agenda. So the more and more we enter the negative by just having the intention to meet us, the easier the grip, the easier the letting go of the grip, which is the outcome of what we said. So let's explain this again in a different way. You see, the reason why opposites and duality exist to begin with is so that we can grow. You see, if we were always whole, we would never need to move or budge or grow, actually. We would not need to experience life in different colors. We would all just be one, and that's it. But we came here to learn how to grow from the splitting of oneness into two. And from the two, negative and positive, yin and yang, darkness and light, that do not recognize each other as being one, but as being two. So, when oneness splits into two, And then the two are, instead of remembering that they're mirrors for us to awaken to, but they believe that they're opposites. Let's take an example, negative and positive. Lack of money is negative. Abundance of it is positive. Now, when we forget that one is the guide to the other, as they're both the same, we will fight and resist absence of money, which is presence of lack. And we will chase abundance, presence of money. And what they will mirror back to us is what we're doing to the negative and the positive. So, if I chase money and presence of abundance or abundance, I will have the lack chasing me. And if I resist lack of money, absence of money, then I'll have money or abundance resisting me. So this is the function, the functioning of duality. It's serving a purpose to wake us up. So once we have understood that both negative and positive are mirrors, from here we allow the split into two, to fight each other, ignore each other, so that we can observe ourselves in that moment and grow through this process. And once we have integrated the negative and the positive together, after we have called in the negative, embraced it, and let go of the positive, once we let go the positive and embrace the negative, it will reflect back to us what we're doing to the negative. It'll come and embrace us, and this is when we become integrated. This integration is not one that we had reached before, as we had not allowed for the split of opposites to wake up to the game, because the split of the one into two creates that automatic nervous system to resist the negative and chase the positive right away. And so this is how we are self-sabotaging from not integrating into a new version of whole. So the becoming process, after having mastered this process again and again, played with it, is actually just a reminder of when the split happens, we are half. And the moment we embrace us being half, do we become a more expanded version of whole. So this is the becoming, seeing our half, embracing the half. This happens in the split into two, where we resist the negative and chase the positive. This is the split, this is the half. We awaken to the game, and then those two meet in a more expansive integration than ever before, again and again and again. And this is how we expand our electromagnetic field. This is how we're able to more be the responsibility we're looking for. This version of ourselves is the version we were looking for, and the outcome is the manifestation. The outcome of this whole version and half, don't forget, the half is guide to a more integrated version, an updated version of wholeness. So the more we focus on embracing the half, the split of opposites that fight each other, cancel each other out, we awaken to the game and integrate, go in to the negative, and then letting go of the positive. The positive then comes and finds us. The more we are calling in the negative, that's the process of becoming whole from half, becoming one from two. This is the dance. And now this version of ourselves is the very version that has and does what we have been aiming at before by wanting to remove the process of becoming and just having and doing. So that's why the manifestation definition can be a bit harsh when we have not allowed to fully deepen the connection within ourselves. If I were to describe it with another person, it's like wanting to have the American dream, Pleasantville, if you've seen the movie, where everything looks perfect on the surface, but there is no depth. There is no emotional connection with others. And getting all the physical manifestations, but feeling the same void we felt before, is very scary for the ego. Not that it's not possible. So there's one side of the spectrum of people that have manifested on the physical, on every level, abundance, the relationship, and they feel the void. And then there's the other part of the spectrum that have not manifested anything and still feel the void. And now, I would like to ask a question. Was it about the physical manifestations? Well, the ones that don't have it will say yes. And there is this belief that when I get there, I will blah, 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 a story. Of course, the ones that have reached, their manifestations and still have the void do not know what this is about. But what they have is, they tend to believe that there's something wrong with themselves. Because if I have everything and yet I still feel that I have nothing, then there must be something wrong with me. And then it's not about manifestation, it's how do I change me or others for that matter. There's many people that have the relationship and have the abundance and feel as if they have nothing. Our mind tends to do this, tends to diminish everything on our outer world depending on how it is we feel, or enhance it. Those are the polarities again. So it's important to understand that if we are really wanting something on our outer world, how scary is it for the ego to just question this? Maybe a good question for all of you listening to this audio today would be this. For the people that don't have the manifestation and want it, a beautiful, loving question would be, is it the manifestation that I'm looking for, that I am really looking for, or is it something else? Question mark. Just let it be. And then, for the ones that have the outer world, but it's not the way they would want it, because they do not feel the way they would want, is it my outer world that is the problem for how it is I feel? Question mark. Or is this void that I'm feeling now something that I have been carrying within me for so many years and have just come to the realization of it because there was space created, there was a question asked, and therefore for both polarities of those chasing manifestations and those having manifested and not wanting what they have. Of course, you could always be that same person. We tend to bounce from one polarity to the other. So for both perspectives, both polarities of either having the manifestation not the way I want or not having it at all, the question is always, is the physical, what it is that is bothering me? Is it the things that I want that I don't have, or that I have that I don't want? The people, the situations, the connections that is really bothering me? Or is there right now an opportunity for me to not know, to question if, because of my outer world that is or isn't the way I want, I feel what I feel? Or is the outer world finally giving me the feedback, the information for me to feel bad enough so that I can listen, so that I can bring the attention to what is happening right now and be present with me? Because everything is just trying to communicate to us so that we can learn to listen, feel, heal, and transmute, so that we let go and integrate and become what we are aiming at. Have a beautiful day and night. It was a pleasure sharing with you. If you would like to find us elsewhere as well, make sure to subscribe, like, comment below, and follow us on social media. All the links are in the description box below. And here is where you will also find our free audiobook of our technique. Make sure to download it and tell us what you think and feel. We so appreciate your feedback. If you are interested in game shops, do let us know by choosing your game. We will be constantly updating our links in our description boxes in all our audios. And if you are interested in a one-to-one setting, do reach out. We will be happy to invest our time in you and make sure this is a win-win outcome. For anything else, you know where to find us now. Thank you for your time. I wish us all love,